I request you to stay on with us. We have some news now from Israel and Gaza, where Hamas has once again called on ceasefire mediators, including the United States, to take urgent action as Israeli forces continue their deadly attacks in Gaza despite the ongoing truce. In a statement, Hamas condemned Israel for reportedly breaching the ceasefire terms, citing the violations of the Yellow Line and ongoing airstrikes in eastern Gaza. These actions, they argue, have led to more mass displacement and hundreds of Palestinian deaths. Meanwhile, according to the Gaza government media office, there have been over 400 documented breaches since the ceasefire began on October 10, with more than 342 civilians killed in these attacks, including many women, children, and the elderly. Hamas has reportedly rejected any new conditions proposed by the Israeli government and urged mediators, especially the US, to press Israel to fulfill its commitments. Now, in the latest wave of attacks on Saturday, at least 24 Palestinians were killed, including children. Israel's military claims that strikes were in response to a Hamas fighters' attack on Israeli soldiers. All right, let's bring back Mohammed Osman, joining us live from Cairo, into the discussion here. Hamas has urged for the mediators to act. What can Hamas really expect without it disarming its militants? Is Israel and the IDF going to stop their operations?
So, as usual, whenever there's a ceasefire involving Israel, it is usually a one-sided ceasefire. The other party sticks and obligates itself to upholding the provisions of the ceasefire agreement, while Israel, of course, is way more liberal with its compliance with the ceasefire, basically carrying out heinous violations of the agreement. And we have seen that in Gaza. The ceasefire has been in effect for about 40 days now, 41, 42 days, if I'm not mistaken. And during those 40 days, almost 350 Palestinians, mostly civilians, were killed by Israeli strikes and Israeli incursions into the areas beyond the Yellow Line, which are still under Hamas control, which is basically about 45% or 43% of what remains of Gaza. And the remaining 56% is occupied by the Israeli military. The Israeli military also occupation military is expanding the so-called Yellow Line and moving it deeper into Gaza, basically acquiring more land. Of course, this comes in complete violation of the ceasefire agreement, which actually stipulates that Israel has to propose a schedule or a timetable for its gradual withdrawal to a buffer zone on the borders of Gaza. But it seems that they are making plans to make their occupation of over half of the Gaza Strip permanent. Hamas, on the other hand, for all of its flaws, has complied with the ceasefire. It has released all the hostages and the detainees. It has turned over most of the bodies. Only 3 bodies of detainees are left in the Gaza Strip, while Israel has not complied with most of the provisions of the ceasefire agreement. So that's why Hamas basically is demanding that the mediators, especially the United States, which is the only party that is capable of applying pressure on Israel, to take action in order to prevent the collapse of the ceasefire. And this has been reiterated also by other mediators behind closed doors, that Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar have also urged the United States through back channels that it has to do something about these incessant Israeli violations, because basically they will be to the detriment of peace, the ceasefire in Gaza. And the idea of disarmament of Hamas, as you mentioned, Kriti, of course, this is part of the Trump plan, and it is part also of the Security Council resolution. However, there are other provisions of the Trump plan that have to be applied first before the course of action for the disarmament of Hamas can take hold, and it will be a time-consuming affair. It's a process that will take time and will need Palestinian dialogue.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Mohammed Osman, there joining us live from Cairo. And with that, viewers, we